Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Curl and I will be your moderator for today's webinar on First World Reboot, What Happens Next with Accelerated Devices. Before we get started, I would like to address a few logistics and details on the GoToWebinar platform. If you are unable to hear the presenter or see the presentation at any time throughout the webinar, please let us know in the chat and we will do our best to resolve any issues. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please type them in the questions panel as they come up. We will have representatives ready to answer your questions directly during the webinar. Today, our webinar is presented by EMA Design Automation and Dassault Systems. EMA is a Cadence channel partner serving all of North America. EMA manufactures the Component Information Portal, Timing Designer, and Circuit Space, and all are distributed through a worldwide network of value-added resellers. Founded in 1989, EMA is a privately held corporation headquartered in Rochester, New York. Dassault Systems, a 3D experience company, provides business and people with virtual universes to imagine sustainable innovations. Its world-leading solutions transform the way products are designed, produced, and supported. Dassault Systems' collaborative solution fosters social innovation, expanding possibilities for the virtual world to improve the real world. The group brings value over 230,000 customers of all sizes in all industries in more than 140 countries. With that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us for today's webinar and introduce you to our presenter, Ed Clark and Lou Feinstein. Ed Clark is a Business Development Director with EMA Design Automation. Ed was the Cadence Design System for almost 20 years and has had global management positions for PCB design, signal integrity, and IC packaging collaboration with the IC design software groups worldwide. Lou is an experienced executive and visionary engineer with diverse hands-on experience with organizational development, product and project management within varying size software and product organizations. Lou's current focus at Dassault Systems includes global management of high-tech solutions within the Dassault Systems portfolio. Assuming we have time at the end, we will field some questions in a formal Q&A. Thank you for your attention, and now over to you, Ed and Lou.
Thank you, Brianna. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for attending today. Just seems like it's been complete insanity over the last 6 months. The industry has been turned on its head. The world's been turned on its head. The landscapes have changed. The way that people work together and with other people, whether they're suppliers or OEMs, has really changed. And the way that people collaborate has been something that has been really tricky. The people that have been very diverse, had ways of automating their processes that have been very successful. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, how the 3D experience and how having a platform can help your collaboration and your concurrent design efforts every day. So what happened? There was this before and after effect of COVID-19. Everybody had suppliers around the world. Everything was flowing along. Logistics were fine. And then, oh my gosh, everything stopped. China shut down. People were thinking, okay, I'm going to go from a global supplier to local supplier. Guess what? All the local suppliers moved out to China, and nothing was there. So everything was basically stalled. Consumer electronics ground to a halt. And same with communication and component information. When we say, what was the landscape? Everything was really kind of moving along at a breakneck pace. Connected vehicles, connected homes, every day out as a consumer. And then, for a large part, the mil-aero business wasn't affected as much because they really planned for events that would happen like this, and until the supply chain finally hit the brick wall there, or their stocks ran out and they had to move on to other sources. So what were the challenges before? I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I worked for 20 years at Cadence, 6 years at Mentor Graphics. Nothing has really changed over this entire time. You've got software groups, you've got electronics groups, or EDA groups, as we'll call them, and mechanical or MCAD groups, and then you've got an overarching management structure that says, hey, where's my product? Where's my project? So these project and product managers are trying to figure out, where the product is so that they can then meet their clients' expectations and demands. So same old issues that we had in the past. You had electrical engineers, doing the logic and schematic design. Same, even whether it's for a printed circuit board or whether it's for an IC. And then you've got the physical design, those guys, throwing the net list or ECOs over the wall or back over the wall. And the same goes with the mechanical. And basically you had interfaces. Didn't really have a great level of integration. There was no such thing as a platform, back 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. So in 2012 is when Dassault kind of had this great idea. Hey, let's create this platform and start integrating these electromechanical ways of designing concurrently, and take advantage of all the processes and create this scalable environment that is really something special. And this is what I think you'll really be excited about. And one of the things that I'm excited about it, because it's something that we didn't have back in the day to facilitate our design and allow us to do more what ifs, allow us to create a digital twin and do simulation before we created this. So what happened? The market slowed down. We had this, supply chain logistics disruption, product shortages. I think I went grocery shopping one day because my wife said, "Oh, you have to go get some hand sanitizer or something," and it was all gone. So that we weren't getting our shipments from China at the time, and that goes with electronics, in materials stuff too. If you were relying on somebody overseas that was sourcing an enclosure or specific materials for manufacturing, those supply chains just kind of shut down. Everybody was unhappy. Design and innovation, it slowed, it stopped in some cases, but people were just at home that had the same ideas. You had your R&D teams, and they can function remotely. And I think it's kind of like a train wreck where people would just sit there and stare because they didn't really know what to do. And this is kind of where we can really focus and help and really give companies a way to enable restoring confidence. Look at and understand the situation in real time when it comes to sourcing, outsourcing, assigning tasks, figuring out where the project is at any particular point in time, looking at increasing mobility through the cloud, and enabling a flexible workforce, whether you're at home. I know working with some of the folks in Puerto Rico, they're working with folks there, folks in Florida, Arizona, multiple different locations all over the world. And I think I even heard, where they had the flexibility to reconfigure some of their lines and create masks and ventilators and some other things like that. So it was really, really pretty cool. But it also provides the organizations with autonomy and agility to develop the factory innovation and really rely more on local supply chains instead of global, or both. You can really communicate with them on a daily basis if you need to. And like I said, diversification is something that's really important in making those product lines and creating those options or what ifs if you were to start creating digital twins and implementing sustainable production methodologies that can be part of these dashboards that we'll talk about a little bit later. So what are the differences after, if we can really say that it's after yet, but I'll make that assumption. They're all still there. We still have the walls where we throw things back and forth, and I think what will be really interesting for a lot of folks to see is how much Dassault Systems can really offer. It's like I think my friend and colleague Lou says it's the biggest company that folks that had never heard about or didn't realize that they did this. And we had a conversation with Motorola not too long ago to that same effect. But all the differences are still there. Now, same goes with the differences for mass production OEMs. Understanding and anticipating trends. That's a big one, especially for commercial guys. Ideation and being able to follow trends. In my little industry that I'm associated with here in Orlando, we really follow trends. It's Facebook and all other types of ideation. Searching the web for what's hot, what's new, and how to kind of leverage that. And I think you'll see a really cool video from Skydio a little bit later in the presentation that you'll be like, wow, I thought drones were just dumb. And but it'll be really interesting. I think you guys will really get a good view of how to take things to the next level by rapidly evolving technology and increasing complexity by reducing those with the dashboard that we offer on the 3D experience platform. So, like I said, how do we avoid commoditization? How do we become a leader in rapid technology change? We've got change all the time. When I was at Cadence, they always used to say that the C in Cadence stood for change. And, and they were really good at adapting and being agile and creating great products that work together. And Dassault is no different. And there's some new and exciting news there as well with respect to the integration into the Cadence products into the Dassault platform. So that will really help you manage a lot of complexity when it comes to electrical, mechanical, and be agile, be able to create these digital twins in real time. And one of the areas that I thought it would be great, Lou's been doing this for a long time. Very blessed to have him on the team and his level of experience with the benefits of the cloud on the 3D experience. What do you think, Lou?
Well, thanks, Ed, and welcome, everybody. It's very exciting to be with EMA. I've been working with EMA way too long. I've been in the industry for a long time, and I've worked with Manny and the ownership of EMA for years, sitting on the other side of the fence, actually, purchasing products and such. So when it comes to the 3D experience, platform, and it can come both ways. We're a cloud platform, but again, we understand the need for being on premise, so we go either way. But one of the things that came very clear to us and clear to our customers after this pandemic, which was unbelievable, is that life goes on, and business needed to continue to invent and find new ways to work. And one of the things that was very interesting that we found on the platform is that after the pandemic, or even right now, they're finding that there's a lower cost of ownership is really the truth. And you're seeing a lot of these companies out west, and actually my daughter's one of them, that have actually now are no longer brick and mortar. They've actually moved out, and they've become a different way of doing business. Well, when you're in the design business, it becomes a little more complex because the tools, the interoperation, it's really how do you collaborate and such. And we found that people using the platform, as we referred to it, were very, very very easy for them to transition from the work office to the home office. And what's really, really interesting about it is that basically the platform's always available. And again, it can be used on any device. But the real thing, the feedback to us is that it was amazing that the people could switch very quickly from their office environment to their home environment and didn't skip a beat, because the product is tuned for the cloud, no matter if you use it on premise or not. And it makes a huge difference than traditional products, which are tuned for an office place. So we saw a lot of feedback on the total cost of ownership today is much lower using this type of platform, and then increased scalability and reliability. It's there 24/7. It's got failover, and you can scale very simply by adding a user and such. So very different way of thinking about things today than there was yesterday. One of the things that really came back, and I kind of alluded to it, is that when you use the platform in a really good tool like this, it's not like using other tools where you're sharing video and such. It's designed from the ground up to be collaborative. And one of the things that's very interesting is that the feedback was consistent, that everybody didn't perceive any difference between working at home or working in the office, because there is no infrastructure to tune. Some people may have had some issues with some internet, but typically we don't see any problems with infrastructure or tuning, because there's no tuning to be done. And the other thing is that we found is that everybody has an internet connection, and it was very simple to scale. And companies didn't have to go out and buy the heavy hardware that they normally would buy sometimes. If you had to have a duplicate setup, you could get away with a Chromebook using this stuff. Even a tablet, you could get away with doing your work. Very, very different. And then the one thing that was really that with the feedback is the ability to do the multidiscipline collaboration, review, and iterations felt natural. There was no separation. When you do a design review and so forth, that's traditional. You kind of share each other, and that's kind of like the new norm. But using our platform, it's actually built in. And it's not saying the video pieces of it, and we do have some aspects of that, but it's really more on the lines of your work is integrated so that your ECAD, your MCAD, your software guys are all working from a single unified model. It makes a huge difference in the way things are done. Think about this one is when you made the switch to go to remote, because everybody in this country at one point has done this, how effective was your team working remotely? And how quickly could you make the transfer? And how complicated it was to move assets around? Just think about that for a moment.
Yeah, that's interesting, Lou, because you had said the collaboration, and not only are people collaborating, but they're doing things concurrent. And it's just a new level of working together. We wanted to give you a quick video here, which I'm going to play for you guys, and I think it also really hit home.
This is one of our early adopters, and the customer has been using the solution, the accelerated device solution, for a long time, and they did this work while in quarantine. So the reason for showing the video is not to talk about Skydio. It's really to talk about ideation and innovation that takes place in this world, and how do you make it faster and quicker? And they've taken what we would call a traditional drone, and really have made it intelligent using advanced AI technologies in a very short amount of time. And realistically, they used our tools to do it. A great company. And this is what we're seeing from many, many companies is how do you make your product faster and quicker, optimize it, and how do you get your teams to be focused to take something and looking at a customer's problems and making it, making it easier to use. I mean, anybody's ever tried to fly one of these drones will definitely have flown it into a tree or something. I've tried myself, and it's an epic fail. So why accelerated device? And it's really is that we focus in two areas, really at high-tech startups that are focusing on product design, engineering, and the need for low-cost tools. Again, because it's a cloud-based solution, it makes it more cost-effective, and you get all the collaboration, and there's no infrastructure. So if you're a small company growing, it's a perfect tool. Now, when you talk about what we talk SMB to larger organizations, it's really to evolve your development process and improve and optimize it. You hear a ton about digital transformation and stuff. This is the first step in the first set of tools that we have, and it's a pretty big solution that allows you to go to that digital transformation and what we would call systems of systems engineering, because today products are not just hardware, not just electronics, not just software. It's the combination of both. And there's just a lot of things that go on. So we developed an accelerated device many years ago, and it's really to accelerate the new product introduction process for electronic devices for small to medium businesses. And we have large companies using it too, and you'll see that on the next page. And it's really, the goal is to be able to bring more products to market with the same number of resources, and accelerating collaboration with your supply base. And also, one of the things that's very important is to protect your IP. And one of the things that's key is time to market. Everybody understands that. And like we said, we developed this accelerated device very succinctly to do that. And part of the tool is, and we're going to only show you a piece of the tool today because it's a pretty deep and it can be scalable tool. So the first thing is that you need to make sure you build the right product. Everybody knows that. Then you need to have a viable plan to execute it and to be able to follow how you're executing. And the key today is it's not one or two people. It's a group of people. It's a group think. You need to collaborate across discipline. You cannot have silos in your companies anymore. A lot of companies still have silos and throw the things over, like Ed was showing, but we found that those companies are becoming, I guess, rare commodities, because the companies that are moving fast and quickly, no matter what size they are really doing, collaboration. We used to call it mechatronics and all that. It's really pure just collaboration, and we still have mechatronics and stuff. But the other piece is that you need to anticipate changes in your supply chain, or what we call BOM changes, bill of material changes. So if something changes or if something breaks, you lose a cog in the wheel, you need to be able to react quickly. And then that's why we have a connection here when we interact with our suppliers and our supply chain, because it's a collection of all these items that make it really seamless. So the one thing that we also need to do, and we spend a lot of time in the beginning of this thing, and we'll do this on another webinar, is we'll talk about ideation. We have these really cool things called solo ideation. So one of the things that we really, we try to really understand is to understand what you're trying to target for the product. Are you building the product, and then have a product roadmap to build it, and then to differentiate your product to make it different, because innovation is the key to success. And meeting the customer's needs, you can have the coolest product. We have a lot of customers that come to us with these great products. I came from the SolidWorks side of the house, and there's so many innovative companies out there. The problem is they come up with products that customers don't need, or they miss the customer's commit. The other piece that you need to make sure is you meet the standards that people need. So you need to be in that product sweet spot, and this is what we try to do with accelerated device. It's all the way from concept through manufacturing, is to kind of put it all together, and so that your product will be in that, what we call that sweet spot, or the intersection of the circles. So, you've seen this slide from Ed before, and when we talk about it, what's really cool about the platform, and that's what Ed was all excited about, is we have a platform that we don't care where the authoring tools come from. We have mechanical, you have software, you have management, and electronics. That's what typical today's products are, and software, tons and tons of software. And we really don't differentiate what tools we have. Do we want you to have SolidWorks and CATIA? Absolutely. But in the case of EMA, they definitely want you to have Cadence. But when it comes to Dassault, we don't really particularly care about what authoring tools you have. The uniqueness of the platform is allow you to put this all together in the platform and manage it, connect it, and really it's a game changer for the industry, because again, it's really managing all three aspects of your product, because products are made up of, again, mechanical, electronics, or you could call whatever you want to call the electronics, and then there's software everywhere. There's software on the boards, off the boards, in the cloud, and we can manage all that. And the real key here is to know what you're producing and what's going on. And again, we don't care which authoring tools you have. It's a really uniqueness about the platform, as we put it all together and we can manage it. So we're going to take a quick view of the accelerated device portfolio, and it's kind of made up in this case of 4 parts. And today we kind of did the reboot because we're kind of showing, it's really the collaboration piece. But we talk about the platform, and we're going to do multiple webinars together with the EMA to talk about the different aspects of the tools that we have. So today we're really going to talk about product and governance, but when you really think about it, we start with what we call upstream thinking, or ideation. It's the ability to create the proper product using the proper tools, and then being able to utilize everything that you've done with upstream, with ideation in the product, keeping it under control with governance, design and engineering. We have amazing amounts of tools and technology. We are a technology company. We didn't really If you don't know Dassault, we are a technology-laden company. And the whole thing is that you can build the best products, you can have the best engineering, but if you can't manufacture your product and actually scale it to your manufacturing, control what's going on, you may not have a product. So, you know, again, so, you know, we're going to be able to, we're going to talk to all these aspects. And again, these can be done both on the cloud or on premise if necessary. And today we're going to really talk about product and product governance. And then the next webinar that Ed and myself and others will do will be the design engineering aspects, which has a lot of cool tech inside of it. So when we talk about accelerated device, we call it as a high-tech industry solution. Well, being high-tech in Dassault or anywhere in the world, and that's the organization I belong, is pervasive. We're everywhere. So you think about high-tech is everywhere. So what are we trying to do with a solution like accelerated device? It's really, you know, it's the ability to deliverable product-based management, smart designing of smart products and engineering. So today we have lots of smart products, smart and connected products, and it's really how do you manage all those aspects? One of the most key things to being successful is really bill of material management and release management. How do you synchronize mechanical, electrical, or electronics and software so that you know what's shipping, you know what every revision, every customer has, and how do you connect all those dots together, and how do you have a single source of truth? And this is what we bring to the table with the 3D Experience platform. Again, online supplier collaboration. If you don't have the ability to reach out to your suppliers and know what they have, it makes it very difficult to be able to accelerate, because one small little resistor or capacitor can stop you from shipping $1 million system. And the whole idea is to be able to prevent all that up front. And then also, we talk about manufacturing anticipation and market asset preparation. There's some really cool tools here that when we talk about manufacturing anticipation, we can do product planning and such. We also can do a digital twin in the factory. And you're saying digital twin, we can actually build a digital twin and show you how it's going to go together in the factory so that you can understand in your engineering side how it's going to fit together in the manufacturing. So you can almost think of it as a closed loop manufacturing capability utilizing a digital twin of your product. And market asset preparation is taking a digital representation of your product and then presenting it to your customers and marketing and such, so that you don't have to take pictures of your product to get it out there. We have lots of cool tools in that space. And so, what our goal here is to really, give you one place where you can put all your tools and everything together. So today we're going to talk a little bit about product governance within accelerated device, and I'll tell you, we can go deep and long into this stuff because there's a lot of cool things in here. So when we talk about product and governance, we're going to talk first about project management and analytics and collaborative release. Zero error defect bombs. That is our goal, and that's what we can achieve with this solution. So one of the things that's interesting is we create a virtual product engineering. So what do we mean by that? Is that all of your components, your 3D components, your mechanical design, your electronics design, and your software design are all sit in a virtual model, all controlled by change management and release management. So you say, why do you want to do this? Well, it means that all of the processes in your product, engineering and manufacturing and upfront are all the same. The other thing that's interesting is that we can do multi-site, we can do real-time multi-site, we can plan and validate in the context. We are data-driven, so that means that we are multidiscipline at its core. We provide the ability to do digital continuity, and we can scale very large very quickly, and we can also do very large projects very quickly. And one of the things I'm going to show you is the change process, because most people get very, very nervous when we talk about having a secured change process, and we have what we call an adaptive change process that can be scaled and tailored for your company. And then our goal here is to really connect, reveal, and enrich the users of the platform so they understand and they feel informed of what's going on in their product development. And again, because it's a cloud-based, if you happen to do that, or if you happen to be on premise, you can access from anywhere on any device. That's the real key of the platform. So when we talk about this, I'm going to talk real quickly about this thing here. Is that one of the key things about a project is having a lot of tools with a lot of processes and a lot of overhead that it takes place to kind of execute a project or get something done. One of our goals was to streamline project execution by eliminating and mitigating the overhead, so that all of the way you do things is standardized. So we're looking at the product standards. We can do portfolio, resource planning, project execution. All of the project management tools are all wrapped up into the tool. Time and task management, financials. We can support a gate management review if you want to do that, and project analytics all above this. Think about having your tools being connected in such a way that when you make a change on an assembly and you check it in, that the information is automatically brought to the project manager and by itself. And so once you finish a task and you shut the task, it'll automatically update, and we have real-time project analytics and program analytics. And again, we can do a lot of interesting stuff with financials and time and task management. Every user is on here, so you know if an engineer is working on multiple tasks, if he's falling behind on another task, we can actually see the impact. And again, this is stuff that you don't have to manually get. It's just part of the process as you work on the 3D Experience platform. So really how we look at this is that we're connecting what we call the present, and this is where we have all these multiple authoring tools, to the future, where we go to a platform-based solution. It's model-based driven. Everybody hears the terms MBE, MBSE, model-based engineering, or model-based enterprises, this type of solution. And then the next step is to model-based systems engineering, where we put requirements, and we can actually do systems level architecture and simulation. It's really to have the data live at all times, so that no matter what you're doing, everybody is on the same model, working at the exact same time. Basically we have a marketplace that's available to provide you with a portfolio of products and simulation and manufacturing. And the whole idea here is to be able to move to the future very quickly and reuse what you've already done. So what we're looking at is the next generation of engineering, utilizing the existing tools that you have. And again, we have new tools, but today most companies want to reuse their assets that they have, and we find that that's the most cost effective, and it does not stress your engineers or your staff, because they're using everything that they're using. The only thing we're doing is we're integrating it into a platform environment.
Yeah, that was really kind of exciting, Lou. And one of the things I thought, kind of fit right in with that was having the ability to do the scalable project planning and execution. Like you said, being able to have all that information at your fingertips, it's completely organized, and, you can assign somebody a task. The collaborative effort is there, it's managed. You can create custom workflows. Just really, for me, it's exciting, because you've got, your personal work, you've got a program management and analytics, and then you've got this in the center, you've got this project planner where you've got a team-centric collaboration, continuous planning, execution, and all that information is getting updated, onto the dashboard, which is absolutely, mind-blowing to me. I think it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. And and when you have a change, these things are all connected together, and that's part of the understanding the full impact of the change. And this is one of the areas that I think Lou was really interested in, and talking about with the change management portion that you had mentioned earlier.
So one of the things that's interesting is that most organizations find change management scary, and it can be daunting, and a lot of tasks and a lot of worries. One of the things that we've done is we've made it very simple, and we call it a change action. When you say you check in a project, you move something, you create a sequence of things that take place. Well, one of the things that's very important about changes is they impact somebody else. If it wasn't a change, if it was a change that didn't impact anybody, it wouldn't need to be documented. So what we find is having these change actions and this change ability is really easy in a platform environment to communicate to people that you don't even know that you're impacting to. So what we're finding is that most customers, when they put in these change actions, you don't go crazy with them, but you put in the critical things. Is you're checking in a product, you're doing a save for the night. basically it'll drive consistency and repeatability in your management practices. The funny part is you'll find the entire scope, which is kind of serious, of what the change does. You couldn't believe the smallest change in something could have a huge impact somewhere else. And sometimes people don't have the visibility to what the changes can do in a solution. So what we find is that our change management solution is really key to making a fast and nimble and agile companies so that they understand when they make a change all the way through from end to end what the impact of the change is very quickly, and it's not a very complicated process to follow. So when we talk about collaborative engineering execution, it's really about having a single point of repository, and basically no matter if you're using software, hardware, you're doing mechanical, you're doing electronics, cabling, wiring, whatever you're doing, it's really having a multidiscipline view and having the ability to release the product, take a snapshot of everything you're doing, and actually becoming your product. So you have a single source of truth in that. Most organizations try to achieve this, and it's very complicated. They have a lot of people that are involved behind here. Here is to really achieve the business goals in optimizing the processes. Don't let the processes optimize the business, and that's kind of what we've done. And make sure the decision-making process are intuitive and allowing for fast deliverables and change reviews. I told you about the change process. It's very important to be able to understand a simple impact of a change review, and again, having the single source. So when you hit release, that you know that everything behind it has been checked, has been validated, has been through some kind of review process if you so desire, and has been completely bundled, and you know the as built to the customer. And most companies struggle with that because you have multiple disciplines and each releasing at a different piece and then putting it together, and it's usually like an ERP or an MRP system that's kind of putting it together.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Lou, that you say that, and I love the way that on the platform they've created these flows which you can customize to a specific product or specific process, and it's just a fantastic way of kind of enforcing a process so that things don't go awry. And having that dashboard, it just really makes the ease of access is just absolutely 100 times easier. And the cool thing is you can now do multiple iterations. You've got the time to do the what ifs, and and have a lot more options than you normally would have. You can create those digital twins that wouldn't have been available before, or would have been very time consuming and costly. You're going beyond the CAD, the individual tools, and creating a business transformation of the way that things happen, and all this is on the cloud, so it makes it super easy to deploy, whether it's in one site, whether it's in the U.S., Europe, or across the Pacific.
These are some of our customers. They're pretty interesting customers. We're high tech. We're pervasive. We're just about everywhere. So a lot of your products that you use today, especially in the white goods space, you saw the Skydio. You've seen SoftBank or Aldebaran Robots, Alpine Stereo, Izzo. So next slide, many products are designed using the solution, and the solution is not something new. It's a very tried and true set of technology that we put together, and we keep transforming it. We are actually impacted here at Dassault in the high-tech world by Moore's Law, because every time we get new technology, we're constantly adapting and evolving to new technology. So here is a case where we talk about VZUG. Here in the United States, you don't hear about them that much. They're a very high-end household appliance manufacturer from Swiss. Awesome stuff. Next customer, what we have here is very interesting one. So this was a startup that we worked with, Romeo Power, which is now taking over as one of the biggest power delivery companies. They kind of compete against some of the other companies out there, and they started out with accelerated device, and they went completely on the cloud with including their design tools. And they've been able to evolve very, very quickly, very, very fast in the battery market. Aldebaran Robot, this is my favorite company. I've been there many a times, and these humanoids are amazing. If you don't have time, if you ever get a chance, go to YouTube and look at their robots. Very, very interesting, very complex electromechanical systems, and they use the 3D Experience platform and again accelerated device to really move this. They use SolidWorks as their tool. and they have they have multiple ECAD tools in there. Really a cool company. They used to be in center of Paris, and now they moved out a little bit, but great company. Using accelerated device, and then this company is a smaller company, and this is kind of takes us back to a smaller company. And these are just innovative stuff where they've listened to the voice of the customer, and the customer said, "Hey, look, I think this is some of the cool stuff." Is that they wanted to make they didn't like the form factor. Most people think that the little radios that they have, the little speaker sets, are too big. So he made a flask radio, which I thought was cool. So this guy takes customers' input and using the platform and creates innovative designs using ideation in the platform. And so you'll see some of his technology out there. So he's got the flask speaker set, very cool, very comfortable to wear headset, and a lot more technology. And again, these are multi-company users, and some of these are relatively older users of the product. The big key here is they get the ability to have more design iterations, so that within the given time period they can do more iterations, and then there's efficiency, because basically everybody's working together. And there's no herding the cats. I mean, if you think about it, most of the time you're looking for somebody or chasing something, or even chasing a part down, looking for a part in a catalog or something like that, or trying to figure out which parts are what or what's available. The platform does a great job at that. So it really kind of makes your day-to-day job a lot easier. That's what we hear from a lot of them. And then, one of the things that really comes out of here is the cost reduction, and it's reducing the number of prototypes, because we can do the digital twin. One thing we didn't talk about is the number of mold and tooling requirements. We can reduce the number of tooling requirements, because you kind of, you can measure twice and cut once with simulation. And then most of the time we're saying is that because we can do a digital twin from your product, is that we're saving a huge amount of time in factory changes. So it's the old mentality, and we want to have Rev 1 ships. We can get close, because with the digital technology or the digital twin technology, we really can see how things are going to go together before you actually build them. So we do see typically a lot of our customers are seeing about 60% reduction in time to execute in the factory. So really cool stuff. So
yeah, that digital twin too. You remember the bend gate and the drop gate, where they'll be able to simulate their products, before they take them into the lab. Saves tons of time.
We build tons of tools, and we'll show that in our next webinar, all the tools that we have and a lot of the engineering tools, and specifically with EMA, we'll show you a lot of our, or what I call the origami tools, where we can fold and bend flex circuits and so forth into ungodly shapes, so that you can put them in products such as cameras and all sorts of technology. So.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, I didn't want to forget to mention is, having worked at a startup, and both Lou and I have done multiple startups over the years. There's also special pricing and access to technology at very low cost for startups. But having that capability to do the what ifs and create those digital twins is absolutely paramount. Being able to launch the tools from the platform, whether it's Cadence or whether it's NX or Mentor, you have that capability. You keep your design groups functioning well, and the platform doesn't care.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, please join it. And then please join us on the next webinar, because then we'll really get into the engineering aspects of this stuff. That's the real cool stuff. We talk about software, electronics, and all the stuff that probably most of you guys are familiar with, is how we integrate that stuff. And one last thing to leave you with, as we talk about, you've heard us talk a lot about integrating tools. We just don't integrate the data, we integrate the designs. So you can have a product that's made of partial, of Creo, SolidWorks, CATIA, and we integrate them at the assembly level, at the master assembly level, and then we can throw in a printed circuit board from Altium or Cadence into the assembly at the same time, and then manage all that data all together. So that's the picture that we really want to paint. It's not a matter of managing your data, but managing a holistic view and an NBE of your product.
Thank you, Lou and Ed. And at this time, I'd like to open up the floor for the Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. And I'll throw a couple questions while we have a minute or two here. How scalable is the platform, and how does latency affect it?
Well, that's a good question. We hear this from a lot of people because we're built from the ground up to be a platform, and we use the major infrastructure for data centers all over the world. So the answer is when it comes to latency, there really isn't much, and the software is written in such a way that it doesn't get in the way unless you have a complete outage. And when it comes to scalability, um, it's simple. It's just adding another user. We can scale from 2 users to 1,000 users in a day. And then on top of that, we use some of our own data centers. We have another company that we own. We build our own data centers also. So when it comes time to talk to us, we actually have the ability to do what we call private hosted on our own servers. On a lot of our stuff is on our own servers. Actually, we do use major infrastructures when customers want it, but we do have our own company. It's called Outscale, and we can scale unbelievably quick. And we set up data centers very, very quick all over the world. And again, your data is very secure. We have one of the most secure platforms in the world. And if you're military or stuff, we also can be on the federal platform. We do a lot of work with the federal government and such, so that we are on the FedRAD platform as well. And again, we can be behind your own firewall with your own servers if necessary. Again, using the same cloud apps, but you just have to do that. So it's really, we see it's up to the customer. We like to have the customer to have their choices. But again, infrastructure has really never been an issue. We drive this stuff a lot in third world countries and as such, and we don't see much problem. Again, because it's designed from the ground up to be this way.
Great, thank you. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but if there were any questions that weren't addressed, or if you have questions following this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll follow up with you on those. And as we wrap up today's webinar, I'd like to inform you all of our next webinar for this series, titled A Deeper Dive in Accelerated Innovation, Design, and Engineering, which will build upon what we talked about today. So keep an eye out for information regarding this webinar. And thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Ed, and thank you, Lou.
Welcome. Thanks everybody for attending.